Welcome in this new video where we will learn how to send the first tweet. So the application is called Roar, so it's going to be a roar. But basically we're going to learn how we can, the user of the app can send a roar from the app. So let's do that. In the previous video we have created the 3 screens of the app. Let's look at the first one. It's the one where the user writes their name as a kind of login, and then they click on next, which makes them move to this second screen where they can write something there, and then when they click on send it, it sends what they have written and a name to a place on the internet. Why sending that? Because then the other users of the app will be able to receive these messages, these tweets or these roars. So you see it's not one phone communicating directly with another phone, it's one phone sending something to the internet, and other phones, the other apps, get the messages from the internet. So where on the internet exactly? Where well, I've used something which is called Firebase. It's a service that was independent and then got acquired by Google. So you see it's firebase.google.com now, and it's free. So you can just create. It's called a database. It's a place where you can put data, and I've called the database called Roar. I've created a database called Roar, and yeah, it's just we're gonna see how to put stuff there. So let's start with screen 1, where let me show you what I've written already. What we need to do is create a box called username, where whatever the user writes there, the name that they write, we need to store it somewhere. It's going to be stored in a box which is specialized in storing text, as you see, and in front of that we put a keyword that we didn't know so far, which is called static. Static means that whatever this box contains, and this box, as you see, is in file screen 1, whatever is in this box can be accessed in other files, screen 2, screen 3. Don't look at that. It's a screen I created by mistake. So how do we put what the user has written there in this box there? Well, very simply, as you remember from the previous video, we have created an action button for the text field, which means that each time somebody writes something here, each time somebody types something there, whatever is written in these curly braces is executed. So I have just written something very simple. Each time something types in the text field, please get the text from the text field and put it in the box in username. So that when somebody has finished typing their name, like Clément, when the final T of Clément has been typed, then username contains Clément. Why? So you see it's GUI underscore text field 1. Why GUI in front? Because if you look at the name of this text field, it's called text field 1, right? There is no GUI in front. Well, it's a convention from codename 1. Whatever box you create from the GUI builder, when you want to use this box in code, you should always prefix it with, GUI underscore. And this box, to get the text inside it, you have, you can do many things. But there is a simple method or action which is pick the text from it. And we pick the text, get text, and put it in username. Anyway, we do have a username now. So now how do I move to screen 2, which is where actually the role is going to be sent. How do when the user presses send, how is the role and the username sent to the internet? So in pink here, you see these are comments, so it's not code, it's just, information, or information for me or for you. It does not get executed because it starts with these two forward slash. So I've used these comments to describe the steps we're gonna follow. So first we are situated in the button 1 action event. So anything between this opening curly brace and this closing curly brace is gonna be executed when the user of the app presses send it. So what is going to be executed? First, we're going to create a box that contains the username, that we have from screen 1, and the text of the role. Then we're going to convert whatever is in this box into text. And text formatted in JSON, if you remember the PDF discussing what JSON is. It's just text, but in a following a special formatting. Then we're going to specify where to send this text. So no surprise, it's going to be there. Then we're going to establish a connection to the internet. Then we're going to have to set some parameters because things are never too simple. And finally, we just launch the connection so that the username and the role gets sent to the internet, to Firebase. So first, let's create the box that's going to contain our author name and username and role. So it's a box that's going to call message to be sent, right? That's a good name. And then what does this box contain? Does it contain string? Not exactly, because we need to send different strings, the username and the role, so it would be messed up and all confused if we would just have strings. So actually we're going to use a different object which is called a hash table. It's just an object that contains several pieces of text, so it's very easy. Hash table is not recognized by default by NetBeans, so you have always to click on this little light bulb. Wow, not yet. Not yet, okay. Let's do that. Oh, well, since I've written, actually I have, let me start from, yeah, that's what you're going to have. So when you click here, you're going to have add import java util hash table. That's where you should click. Okay, so now we put a new hash table into the box. You should be familiar with that now. So we have an empty table that, an empty table that can receive text in the box. So let's put some text in it now. Message to be sent. So we have an action that says put, very simply. So you don't just put an author name in the box. The way it works, it's a convention, but in many programming languages you have that. It's you put a title the title of your piece of text, and then the piece of text itself. So when you put stuff in a box, you never put it directly. You always put the title of it and then the piece of text itself. So in this case, we're going to put username and then the username itself. So the username itself, you remember, we have it stored in screen 1. How do we get, if we just type username, it's not gonna, it's gonna be an error because Well, it's an error because it doesn't know username from screen 2, right? We didn't create a box called username anywhere here. It's just in screen 1. So actually, NetBeans helps us and tells us, do you want to import username from screen 1? Yes, that's exactly what we want to do. But so we could just, do that. Click here, so you can do that if you want, but I prefer to do this. It just means, because you might find that interesting, you get the username, the box username, from the file screen1, right? So as you see, it's very convenient. And then we put the text of the row itself, so send message to be sent, put text. And where is the row? So the row is there, which means it's in text field 1. So GUI text field 1 get text. So what I've just written is take the text from the box GUI text field 1. And since we are situated in screen 2, NetBeans knows that we mean text field 1 from screen 2, not text field 1 from screen 1. Okay, that's stored in the box. You can't just send the box over to the internet. You just can't say, send a message to be sent. You have to transform that into a JSON format, which you should remember from the video explaining what JSON is. And then this JSON format should be itself transformed into, 1 and zeros, the bytes, because that's going to go over the wire, so it's all about a binary code. So we should create a box called message in JSON, which is a string but formatted in JSON. You should put the final keyword before that. It's just because, it's just a necessity in this case. That's part of the black magic you have to use sometimes. And then you will transform message to be sent into JSON. Would you put yourself the curly braces, you have in JSON, and the commas and the rest? No, actually you have methods that help you do that already. So I'm cheating a bit because that's not something I know by heart. Nobody knows everything by heart. You just have to read the documentation over and over and then do some copy pasting. But I know from the documentation that if I do that, whatever I had in my box is now transformed into JSON format. But as I said, that was here. I said that here. Converting our box into text in JSON. And then, more than that, I think it's over. Then we should tell where should this JSON be sent. So we're just gonna write a box which is called URL. It's a fancy name to say web address, where we're gonna write where should the JSON be sent. So where exactly? Where exactly is going to be there? So how do I know that, right? Because I've read the documentation. I spent a long time reading the documentation. So this is where we should send our JSON, and I know, because again, that was in the documentation, that if I put that, it's not going to work. The exact address is this plus raw.json. That's the address that can receive JSON from an app, for example. Okay, so that's where it should go. Now we can finally, the app can create an internet connection and send message to be sent to this address. So let's do that. So we're gonna call that a box called request. It specializes in receiving objects which codename1 inventors have created for us. This object is called connection request. It's an object with complicated actions that actually create the connection to the internet. So as you see, always when I have a light bulb like that, I know that connection request is not an object known by the project, and I have to import it. So in this box we put a new connection request, and usually I should do that, right? But in this case, oops, I forgot. Yeah, but if I do that, there is never a moment where, the connection request is set up, but there is no step where I added my JSON message to the connection. So even if the connection is established, nothing is going to be sent. So to add the message JSON to the connection request, there is some complicated code which I don't pretend I could reproduce just by heart. I've read it in the book or in the online documentation written by CODAPPS creators, and I'm just going to copy paste that from the from where it was written there. So before the final semicolon, oops, okay, I'm just adding this thing. So what does it mean? It's basically something we have never seen, like why you're opening curly brace, on this line. It's so mysterious. It's actually quite mysterious to me as well, to be frank. And it's a reason why people sometimes just give up on programming. It's because, we knew what it meant to actually add a new object to a box we created. That we know. But why at some point are we allowed to open a curly brace there, even if the line is not even finished, and then we have this thing that looks like an email address? Don't worry too much in this case. It's very rare that you have to write that, and in this case I just copy pasted it. What you need to know is what it does. It's simply, you see output stream, it's what's going to go out of your app up to the internet. And what goes out of your app can't be text, because text doesn't travel through the internet. It has to be bytes. The 0 and 1 from IT, from informatics. While these 3 lines actually transform your text into bytes. And you can see it there. It takes your text in JSON, and there is an action that says get bytes, and it writes it into the output stream. Just for your information, but we don't really care. But now we know that the request to the connection request is loaded with what you want to send, so it's good. We just need to add a couple of parameters, because there is so many ways you could actually connect to the internet, and we need to explain what kind of connection we actually want. So the parameters are, I didn't guess them, actually I spent a lot of time trying to find which one were accurate. because when you look at, so I just get that from the documentation, and I encourage you to just copy paste what you read there. It's not exciting at all. What do I miss? No, I miss one first. I should say where the connection happens. So where should it connect? It should connect to the URL we have defined there. Set content type, it's a big mistake there. It's about application. So what are we sending? We're sending JSON. You have to mention, oops, you have to mention that. And here there is you should say that you post stuff. You don't just get stuff from the internet. You connect to the internet to post stuff. I think that's it. Yes. And finally, once we have done that, we can, trigger the connection. And to do that, again, a kind of coding that you don't magically know, because it's you can't guess it basically. So again, just copy paste it from the documentation of codename 1. That's it. So what the point of actually doing a video where I tell you that maybe you know half of it, half of the code we write? I think the first half is kind of clear, right? Up to here. Then it gets completely messy. It's like, well, I trust you, professor, but frankly, I don't know what we're doing. And same here. It's like, oops, sorry. And same here. It's like, well, maybe it's how we connect to the internet, but I don't understand a thing of it. I do it anyway to show you that. Just look at it. We're gonna count how many lines we have written. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, I don't count these two stuff. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. What I want to show you in this video is that with 16 lines of code, you can connect a mobile application that you have created to the internet, and your app can send text that you have chosen to the internet in 16 lines of code, not 200, not 3 engineers working for 2 weeks, right? You do have to actually get past these lines, which are frankly horrible. But these are always the same lines, right? So that's not the difficulty. Basically, you are totally free here to send what you want, right? I mean, you could just say, I just added a new line where you could add something like hello, or it's a bit stupid, but like weather today, and you could add it's raining. Well, it's sunny, it's better. Right? You see that with these 16 lines of code, you now have the ability to to create apps that can send as many types of information as you can imagine. So it's so powerful, and I think it was worth going through all of these lines. So that's it, and that's it. We're done for this video. Let's try just to see if it works. So just to recap, everything we have written here is gonna be executed when the user will press send it on the second screen. So let's do that. I launch the application. You always have to cross your fingers in this case, because even if you did everything right. Okay, so let's try that. Write your name here. Clément. Next. I move to the second screen. write a role. Okay. My first role. I hope it works. And send it. So when I'm gonna go press send, it's gonna do everything that we have written. It's gonna create a box with a hash table. It's gonna put in the hash table the username I've just written, so Clément. It's just gonna put whatever is in here. So my first word, role, I hope it works. It's gonna transform that into JSON. It's gonna, so that's always the same. And then it's gonna turn the JSON into bytes that can travel to the internet. It's gonna finish setting up the connection, and it's gonna send it to here. So to here, right? I hope it does work. So let's see if I click send it, if we see something appearing there. That would be, you know, magic. It worked. It worked. So it has sent something to the internet, and it has sent this ugly thing. That's not what I have written in my app. The reason is that when this database, this place on the internet, receives something, it always gives it a title, and the title is, as you see, is completely random. But if you click on it, the title is, it's basically some JSON, again, JSON stuff. The title of what it has received is followed by what has been received. And it has received text. My first role, I hope it works, followed by username, Clément. And that's exactly what the app has written. Wow. So I hope you are very happy with that, as happy as I am. And in the next videos, we'll see how we can actually, how the app can retrieve stuff from the internet. So retrieve these things. You know, like I'm Natalie, and I would like to see what Clément has written. How can my app receive that? And how can my app show that on screen? That's for the next video. Thank you.